There was a time when many Black families sat with their dead, sometimes for hours, sometimes through the entire night. Not because they were strange, not because they were uneducated, but because grief, dignity, spirituality, and survival once lived in the same room together. In many homes, death was not treated like something to rush away from. The candles stayed lit. The psalms were read softly. Windows were cracked open, and somebody always stayed awake. Because for many Black families, the transition between this world and the next was considered sacred. Before funeral homes became common in our communities, before comfort could be outsourced, our people sat together in silence and carried each other through grief by hand. Some traditions were not born from superstition. They were born from memory, necessity, protection, and love. For many Black families in the South, sitting with the dead was not only spiritual, it was historical. During segregation and deep rural poverty, many Black communities had limited access to funeral homes, medical care, or dignified burial services. So our people cared for their own. Families gathered inside small homes with dim lights, wooden floors, covered mirrors, and praying elders seated quietly in the corners. Food was brought by neighbors. Hymns were sung softly. Children were taught to move respectfully through the house. Grief became communal. In a world that often denied Black people dignity in life, many families made sure dignity was protected in death. The wake was more than mourning. It became an act of love, community, and resistance. Many traditions that survived in Black households today were first born from necessity before they became sacred memory. In many Black homes, death was understood as more than an ending. It was a crossing. Many elders believed the spirit should not leave this world alone or in confusion. So someone stayed present. Someone prayed. Someone kept watch. Psalms were often read aloud softly through the night, not only for comfort, but for spiritual steadiness. Some families opened windows after death, believing the spirit should leave freely and peacefully. Others covered mirrors, protecting the home from heaviness, reflection, or lingering energy during mourning. Candles burned low into the night, while relatives sat in silence beside the departed, speaking gently, remembering stories, holding space between worlds. In Hoodoo and many African-rooted spiritual traditions, prayer was not always seen as symbolic. It was considered movement, guidance, stabilization. The Psalms became more than scripture in many homes. They became protection for the living and comfort for the transition of the dead. Not spooky, sacred. Today, many people are taught to fear death so deeply that they never truly sit with grief at all. Everything became faster, quieter, outsourced, sterilized. But there was a time when Black families held each other through mourning with their physical presence. They stayed, they prayed, they watched over one another through the longest nights imaginable. And maybe that's why some of these traditions still echo through our communities today, even when people no longer remember where they came from. Because some practices were never just superstition. Some were protection, some were memory, some were survival. And some were the last sacred things Black families had left untouched in a world determined to strip everything else away. So the next time someone calls these traditions strange, remember this. Not everything passed down in silence was ignorance. Some of it was wisdom that survived. If this memory touched you, subscribe to Echoes of Hoodoo and continue the journey into the hidden meanings, forgotten traditions, and spiritual systems carried through generations. Welcome to Echoes of Hoodoo.